Hey everyone, Sue here from 1A Auto, and today I have a 2001 Ford Focus in the shop with a 2.0 dual overhead cam. I'm going to show you how to do the water pump. So if you need this part or any other part for your car, click on the link below and head on over to 1AAuto.com. So the first thing I like to do before I do a water pump is drain the actual radiator. So the good thing is this radiator has a petcock on it, so I'm going to put my bucket right underneath it and catch my fluid. Then I'm going to lower the vehicle and support my engine, undo the water mount, and take the water pump out. First thing I'm going to do is take a 10mm socket. I'm going to take this mounting bolt out. This is the coolant reservoir tank. See, actually the only way to fill this car up is through this reservoir tank. There is no cover on the radiator. It has one mount here with a bolt, and then set that aside. Then you're going to have a bracket over here you're going to lift up. See the little piton? Undo the hoses, and you're going to want to move this over this way. Let's undo the power steering wheel. Clip. There you go. Now that's nice and out of the way. You can see everything in here. I'm going to get a jack with a rubber stopper on it or a piece of wood. I'm going to roll it underneath, put it on the oil pan, support the engine, and then I can take off this timing mount, motor mount. It's on the timing belt side. And take this mount out of the way and support the engine with the jack. Support that. Now I can get my socket and ratchet and undo the bolts of the mount. Now with the engine supported with the floor jack, I've got an 18mm socket. I'm going to release these two motor nuts that hold it onto the front of the timing cover area. Just going to use a 1/2-inch breaker bar. Make sure you have a good support on the engine. If it's not jacked up tight, that would have just dropped a little bit. And you don't want to cross thread or jam those nuts under the studs. As you can see, the motor's starting to sink a little bit. It's just a slight, it's not tons of pressure, so I can still turn this by hand. Look at the whole stud came with it. That's going to happen. It's not uncommon. So now we have one stud left in there. So it's easy. Now that I have it disconnected from the engine, I'm going to take the 3 bracket bolts out. It's a 15mm socket. I'm using my 1/2-inch. Make sure they all break free. Last one. It's kind of hard to see it from down there, but it's a triangle style mounting. Now we should be able to lift it right up. Lift it right out of there. Before I take the SERP belt off, I have to take the water pump pulley off to get access to the bottom cover. So with the belt on, I like to leave the tension on so I can put a 10mm socket on the water pump bolt, and then I'm going to take a long screwdriver or pry bar and I'm going to hold the other 2 bolts in place. There's a little trick. If you don't have a certain way of doing it, tools. So I'm going to put pressure on it clockwise so I can loosen the bolt counterclockwise. And I just need to loosen it, don't take it all the way out, because this is a 3-bolt system, so I'm going to need that other bolt to pry against. This circ belt is so tight that, look, I can loosen the water pump pulley. But I showed you how to do the first one in case you have a belt that's spinning in place, or any other time you need to pry something that has no way of holding it. I like to use a pry bar. You can use a long screwdriver. Let's see if they're loose enough to come off by hand. Yep. So now I'm going to take the tension off the belt and remove the drive belt. So now the circ belt tensioner is right below the alternator. You can get that through the fender well if you have access to go through that way. You're going to anyways, need to go through that way, but I have plenty room up here, so I'm going to put a 14mm box end on there, and I'm going to push down to release the pressure of the belt, like that. And now I can slide this circ belt right off. Bring the tensioner back up. And if need be, we also have the engine is just on the jack, so we can jack the engine up a little bit more if we needed to get our hands down there. Okay, so we can set this aside. If you need to replace it, replace it. Always check your belt, even if you think, oh, I replaced that a year ago. You don't know the kind of road material that gets up in there and causes damage, cracks. Any oil leaks that you didn't have a year ago. If it hit the belt, coolant, it will do damage to it. So always just examine it real quick. There's no need to do the job twice. When it's out, put a new one in. That out. I'm going to grab this water pump pulley and take it off. I've already loosened up the bolts, so it's easy. Sometimes you'll have to take a screwdriver and just pry on that, just enough to pop it off. Now with the car up in the air and the engine has dropped down, I can take the water pump pulley out with ease, and I have that. Now that we've had the coolant system draining and all the coolant is on that end, hopefully drained out, there should be a little bit of residual left inside the water pump housing, but 8mm socket for 4 bolts here, and I'm going to start loosening them, turn them counterclockwise. There's 4 bolts. And right below the power steering pump pulley. And there's going to be one way down below here, right about 5 o'clock. If you can't get it from the top here, you can always get it from down below. Lower the engine or raise the car up. I got it right there. Now I'm just going to use my hand, pull those bolts out. We might have to tap this with a hammer just to loosen it. It's pretty thick aluminum housing. So just remove the rest of the bolts by hand. Okay. Now I'm going to just take a brass punch and just give it a tap. As you can see, someone put black RTV all around it. Must be the same person that did the valve cover. Yeah, you don't have to do that, all that. So we're going to have to lower the engine to get past this fender well. So I raised the vehicle up, and it's definitely easier to access access the water pump from down here. I've got a catch basin right underneath it, and there we go. Just 4 bolts. Hold that puppy in. There should be a rubber O-ring right in here. It's underneath all this black RTV. So we're gonna clean up the housing now because someone put RTV all in there. That's gonna be kind of a difficult situation. That's an aluminum housing, so you don't want to use a grinder. That's where the seal actually sits. So I'm gonna just use a little bit of hand sandpaper, like an emery cloth, see if I can get in there and break this all up and get it out of there. Here we have the water pump we just took out of our 2001 Ford Focus. And here we have the water pump replacement from 1A Auto. You can see they look identical in shape. 4 mounting bolts, 3 water pulley bolts. On the back side, the difference is this is cast metal blades to push the water around, and this is composite plastic, that's the word I'm looking for. This actually wears down. As you can see, the fins have got a bit of an edge to them, so you're going to have to check your aluminum housing for this. And these are also known for breaking free on the shaft. They're lightweight, that's why they did it, but they also fail a lot. So the upgrade is the one from 1A Auto. It's cast metal. It's pressed on that shaft. It won't break down, and it will stay strong and make sure your water flow and circulation is keeping your car going. So if you need this part or any other part for your car, click on the link below and head on over to 1aauto.com. Now we're going to put the gasket on, the new water pump. The gasket does come with it. It's a rubber seal. You do not want to put any RTV on this. That's a guaranteed failure. If you use a new water pump and you put the new seal on there and you put it in, it leaks after, you better check your housing. That's where the problem's going to lie. Always check your housing. Like I said, I just cleaned this. We made it nice and smooth. There's no gasket left in there. And always check the back housing where the actual propellers ride, and make sure they're not grooved or eaten, because if that shaft came loose and the bearing let go, you can wear out the actual seat to that housing, and it should get replaced. So now we're going to put the water pump back up in there. I'm going to line the bolt holes up. Seat's nice and firm. And you can add our 4 bolts. Start them by hand, then we'll end up torquing this. I'm going to do it up in the air like this. It's easier to get everything in there, the torque wrench. Only thing you need for this is that rubber seal. You do not need a paper gasket or RTV. I'm just going to snug the bolts before I torque it. Don't really rank on them. Don't tighten them too much, because the torque on this is, I think, 12 to 15 foot-pounds. I'm going to double check that. So 8mm socket, and I've got my torque wrench set to 15. It is 12 to 15 foot-pounds. I'm going to the max. And I'm going to go crisscross, so back and forth from one side to the other. I would say east, west, north, south. And then we're going to double check, just like we always do with torquing. Start in the same position and then go from there. There we go. So here we have the water pump pulley that the SERP belt's going to ride on, and you can see all the road dirt and stuck in there. That does cause unbalance, believe it or not. Even though it's bolted, it can cause a wobble, which would cause premature wear on the bearing shaft of that water pump. So I'm just going to clean that out, get that mud stuff stuff out of there. Let's put the water pump pulley on. Line up those, there's 3 bolt holes, that's it. Little 8mm bolts, thread-wise. I do believe it's a 10mm socket or a wrench. So now we're going to install the cert belts, reinstall it. On this particular car, it's going to go S around the water pump and the crank like this. It's going to go down on the tensioner, up on the alternator, vertically challenged like me, up over the power steering pump. So I'm going to take it back off the water pump to get it to go around the AC unit. And now I can slide it right on that water pump. So now I have my 14mm on the tensioner. I'm going to put my hand right here on the belt around the water pump, and I'm going to give the belt some slack and slide it around the water pump pulley. Now we haven't torqued the water pump pulley bolt yet. That has to happen, but I'm using the belt to help me center it to give it some strength. Double check your belt, make sure it's in all the grooves on all the pulleys. It's not off the ridge. Looks good. Okay, let's tighten up the water pump bolts. So the water pump pulley bolt is 24 Newton meters or 18 foot-pounds. So I'm going to take my 10mm socket, my torque wrench, and I'm going to use a flathead pry bar or a screwdriver, whatever you have handy. And I'm going to use that to wedge it to hold these actual bolts if this pulley starts to spin, just like that. So you're just wedging it between 2 bolts. Let's see if we can get it right here. Like that. Now with that in that position, I can hold the pulley. So I've got 1. Rotate it. Get it in position for the next one. Okay, 1 more. There you go. All 3 water pump pulley bolts tightened to 24 Newton meters. So now we've lowered the car back down, and we still have a jack on the engine supporting it, and we're going to put our timing belt area motor mount on with the bracket. Just slide it right through there. Bring it right over those 2 studs that go on that motor mount. Everything lines up pretty good. There we go. I'm going to put the 2 nuts on the engine side. It's 18mm socket, and that is torqued to 80 Newton meters. I'll give you the foot-pounds in a second. So I'm just going to hand tighten these 2 nuts down here. And then its torque is 80 Newton meters, which comes out to 59 foot-pounds. And it looks like I'm definitely going to be lined up with everything once I lower this, so I feel confident enough to tighten these and not worry about having to loosen them back up. Now I'm going to lower the jack with the engine on it to line up the bolt holes on the actual subframe so I can start them. It's 15mm socket. Get the other 2 in place. Oh, might need a bigger extension. Okay, I'm just going to put the power steering reservoir back in place. There we go. There's 3 rubber bushings on here. You want to make sure they're lined up in the little slots that are cut out for them. There we go. So there's 1 down below, 1 here, and 1 in the back. And it'll just pop right down. Let's get the overflow tank repositioned. So you've got these plastic clips that hold the actual lines together. Get that clicked in, and now there is a plastic line-up tool on this side, right on the strut tower. That's going to go there, and it lines up that ear for the 1 bolt left. It's a little sheet metal bolt, or screw, sorry. So I just put the bolt on an extension. It is a 10mm socket. There you go. Just gonna snug it down. I don't worry about torquing anything like this. Now we can get our coolant, fill up our overflow. I'm going to use a vacuum device that sucks all the hoses flat, gets all the air pockets out of the system, then it forces the fluid back in, tries to make sure there is 0.0 air in the system. Now I'm going to fill the coolant. This is the overflow tank. It is the only fill for this car, so you don't want to bring it right up to the top. You want to keep it right about this level. It's kind of hard to tell with this. Here's the max line and the min, because it's so old and stained. But I'm right there, so I'm going to put my cover on, and I'm going to start her up. Stop my car. Look at that, first try. So now with the car running, I know get my coolant temp right up there, and I'm gonna let it run on the lift, get my fan going. If this is where you have a fender skirt, go ahead and put it in. This car missing, so I'm gonna put the tire back on so you can put your fender skirt in, then your tire on, while you're letting the coolant get to temp. Now we're going to torque the wheels to 94 foot-pounds, and that is the manufacturer's specifications. It's a 19mm socket. Double check. Now let's take this thing for a road test.
Thanks for watching. Visit 1aauto.com, your place for DIY auto repairs, for great parts, great service, and more content.